Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now, today's episode, we're going to talk about everything you need to know to be able to successfully open business accounts and make sure you're making business money become your money in this game of credit and finance. So, of course, if that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, when it comes down to it on this channel, we focus on every single bonus we can get our hands on, right? And the good news is about a lot of these big banks, Bank of America, Chase, Citi, PNC, Huntington, you name it, they have a personal side and a business side of the house, right? And the good news here is that you can actually take advantage of both sides, even if your business is kind of just maybe an idea or a concept in your head. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. But the first thing I did want to note here is that underneath banks, it's basically personal and business are almost two separate things entirely. So even if terms and conditions say, hey, you did, new customers only, and you have a Bank of America personal account, as long as you're a new customer to Bank of America business checking, you can do both of those, both the personal and the business at the same time. They're two separate things, which really makes these, all that more important to potentially go after. Now, the other thing here, why you would want to do this is that some folks out there don't necessarily have direct deposits, right? Well, the good news with business banking, because they're targeted at business, a business isn't really going to have a direct deposit like an employee would, right? Because it's a business account. So a lot of times these accounts are just dependent on new money, right? Which really just means, hey, give me, for this Bank of America example, move $20,000 over here, and in 30 days, 60 days, I'll give you your $500. No direct deposit required. Now, that is the downside as well, because a lot of times these are looking for large sums of capital to be put on deposit for 30, 60, 90 days. Not all of them, but some of them do require large capital because, again, they're targeted at a certain level of business. But that's why this is important. That's why you would want to do it, because there's this whole other avenue to go down to make money. Again, they often have larger payouts as well, but again, larger capital commitment. So let's talk about how you actually open one of these in the style of account. Well, again, it's still a deposit account, right? So if you're familiar with the credit card, business cards, I'll link a video down below from the main channel. This is going to follow the exact same format, meaning that, you're going to open the application and it's going to be first your personal information, then they'll go into some business information. So I'm going to assume you can handle the personal stuff. We're going to focus on the business side. So we'll start with the application itself. Now, the main thing here is the vast majority of us are going to want to open this account under something called a sole proprietorship. Now, sole proprietorship, simply put, is, you're not an LLC, you're not an S Corp, you're not anything like that. Now, if you are one of those, you can use that, and that's no problem. But for a lot of us, sole proprietorship's the way to go. So proprietorship works because it allows me to use my full first and last name as the business name. It allows me to use my social security number as the tax identification, and you can use your home address as well. Now, I understand that, you might want to make something fun business name, but again, just use your full name because it's going to avoid a lot more questions. Now, the next part of this is, well, they're going to ask you some questions about your business, right? Normally, it's kind of targeted at, hey, tell me about your business. What kind of industry are you in? What kind of services do you provide? Things like that. Now, they really don't care, right? It's not like, hey, I want to play get to know you. They're looking for a few different things. One, they're looking for potential products they can cross-sell you. And number two, they're looking for things that they don't want to be bothered with. So a lot of times, like marijuana business, they don't want to be bothered with Bitcoin, cash advances, or check cashing services, things like that. They don't really want to be bothered with, but they don't really care, for example, like what you do. So for me, I do sole proprietor, and then I end up filing. In the past, I've done real estate. I have rental properties, but a lot of times I'll just try to go down the YouTube path. So I might do like, hey, what is they have video production or video creation or even education. Sometimes you could argue these are educational, right? I'll go down that route, right? And then, in addition to that, the question that comes up is like, well, income, right? How much money do you make? Well, generally with this, again, I say be creative with your business. If you sold on eBay, congratulations, you have a business. If you sold on Etsy, congratulations, you have a business. Now, projected income, I definitely wouldn't get anything go out there crazy, because remember, we're not trying to impress them. We're not trying to get credit cards or anything like that. So, I would just, find a reasonable number, right? If you sold on eBay a few times, maybe extrapolate that out. What do you think you'd do in a year? Something like that, right? Again, they really just want to get a baseline of what services to sell you. That's kind of why they're asking. Is if you put like $10 million a year, you better believe you're getting a call from like their wealth manager or something like that at Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, like, hey, we have some more stuff we'd like to talk to you about, right? It's really not as serious as it comes off, right? So that right there is pretty much the full application. They'll ask you some stuff about like, hey, how many employees? Of course, I just put myself. They'll usually tell you either you count yourself or you don't. Years in operation, usually it's a safe bet to put at least 1 year. I've seen some that don't matter because sometimes you can be like, hey, well, I'm just getting my business set up, and I want to, get my business banking, or you can also go that route. But for me, usually I put 1 year in business at least, give you some level of being established there. Usually that's it to the application. Right now, I will say if you find that you think you're going to run into trouble, or some banks like Chase, for example, when I do their business account, they actually make you apply in person. On the surface, that sounds kind of scary because I got to go answer these questions in front of the banker, right? Well, the thing is to remember that the banker's actually on your side, because most bankers get paid off of accounts that they open. So the banker is very motivated to help you open this account. So let me give you an example. I went into a bank one time and I had this promo offer on my phone, and then I'm trying to open the account, right, and the banker's like, well, you got that mailed to you, right? Was the banker telling me to say yes, that was mailed to me, because the requirement was that it should have been sent out in the mail. I shouldn't have necessarily found it online, even though it was online on their page. I don't understand why that was a rule, but the banker will try to help guide you with the questions, right? Sometimes again, back to our age of business question, a lot of times the bankers say, well, we require our business accounts have been open, our business clients, that's what I'm trying to say, to be opened in business for 1 year. When was your business started? Well, then just go back 1 year, right? So a lot of times, opening in branch is much more helpful than not, believe it or not, because again, the banker is motivated to help you. Now, one other thing that comes up in branch, and question that comes up in here, is documentation. Now, 9 times out of 10, if you go, actually 99 times out of 100, it's really, really rare, but if you open a sole proprietorship, they let you do first, last name. That's what sole proprietor means. On occasion, the bank will say, no, you need a document, right? So this happened to me at Flagstar, and basically the bonus was like, it was deposit $5,000 for 90 days to get $500, but they would not let me open as a sole prop without a doing business as, or an assumed name, I think was the document I needed. So I'll put an example up over here, but basically what I did was I went down to my local county. I said, hey, I need to get this document. The county was like, yeah, you definitely don't need this. I was like, I know I don't need it, but the bank thinks I need it. And if I get it, then I can open the account, right? So the document itself was like $10. It's good for 5 years. And then parking was like another $3, right? Took probably 20 minutes, and that document's good for 5 years. Now, your counties, across the country may have different documents, right? So I would say, if you choose to play this game super aggressively, and it would bother you to miss out on an easy $500 from Flagstar, in my case, I would make the time to get the document. Other than that, PNC, Huntington, Fifth Third, all these guys, Chase, City, I've never needed this before. Now, I will say sometimes if the banker is going to give me a hard time, they think they need it, I keep a copy on my phone. If I'm doing it in person, I'll say, you know what, here you go. Let's just be done with it. I have the document, and it works. So I think it's worth $10 to look into, but 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, this is definitely not needed, especially when you're going the sole proprietorship route. That's why we go sole proprietor. Now, in addition to this, applying in person is also helpful because sometimes you'll be offered, actually most times you'll be offered a credit card as well. Because remember, bank accounts and credit cards become an extension of one another. So when I did the Wells Fargo business account in person, because you had to do it in person, they were like, hey, you're pre-approved for the business platinum, $300 bonus for $3,000 in spend, $10,000 credit limit, pre-approved, no hard pull. Do you want it? And so I was already there, so I said, sure, why not? No hard pull, another easy bonus, might as well get it. That's another way to kind of stack bonuses as you go along. Now, again, I've also gone to BMO Harris and opened 2 personal accounts and 2 business accounts with the same guy in the same time. Just sat down and did it all like 90 minutes, right? So I say all that to say there are advantages of going in person, talking to the banker. You just have to remember that the banker and you have the same exact goal, to get the accounts open, right? Because that's how the banker is paid more often than not, by opening new accounts. So overall, I would say, to wrap this one up, that's really what you need to know to open a business account. Sole proprietorship is going to be your friend. Be creative with your business information. I would not be extravagant, would not go overboard, right? Make sure it's something that you can potentially back up. I'm just getting my business started is always a great reason if your numbers are high or low. But again, in person is also your friend, and look to stack offers with those credit cards, right? So If you can do all those things, it's going to open up a whole new avenue in this game of bank account bonus hunting. And of course, if you have any other questions about opening business accounts, drop them down below. But I promise you, once you do a few of them, you're not really going to be able to tell the difference between personal and business. It's all going to be the same thing. So anyways, guys, if you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you find it particularly interesting, of course, consider subscribing to the channel, because we are here every week talking about how to make banks money into your money. My question for you guys is, let me know, one, what you think about business accounts. What are some of the conversations you've had with bankers, or some of your tips and tricks for, new folks trying to open these accounts? Love to get your thoughts on that. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching. Talk to you very soon in the next one.